As a final note on this section of self-talk, this is something that we have to continuously remind ourselves of. Oftentimes when people get into things like affirmations, they see a video of somebody saying, these are my 5 affirmations in the morning. And they might scoff at first, but like maybe I could use a little bit of that positivity. And then they try it out for a couple days and they find it doesn't work. Okay. So that's usually because these habits go many years deep, sometimes decades deep, where our self-talk has been in a certain way and putting us in a certain mood for so long that doing something for simply a few days, trying to replace that, isn't really going to be sufficient. So these are changes that happen over a long period of time. We wouldn't expect to go to the gym and lift weights for one day and then feel muscular and stronger. That's not how that works. We shouldn't expect to go to one guitar lesson and walk out feeling like you're Steve Vai, right? These things take time, and learning new self-talk patterns and new habits all takes time. It's building a habit, right? It's recognizing when we're doing something that isn't serving us and replacing it with something else on a regular basis. Now, I've heard certain things like it takes 30 days of daily practice to solidify a habit. And then it takes 90 days to make that habit permanent. So that's a little bit of scope. Now, we shouldn't be discouraged by this because anytime that we fall off from something, we can always come back to it, right? And journaling these things can really help. So I encourage you to journal this. You can even journal your self-talk. You can have a little notebook that anytime you say something negative to yourself, you can put a little tick in there and then put a little check when you replace it with something that is more serving. Or we can actually write out these affirmations. We can say these things out loud to ourselves many times than just once in the morning if we like. Because saying things out loud kind of mimics people actually saying things to us, right? And so it can stimulate those pathways. These are just a few ideas of what to do in this. So take that all with a grain of salt. But these things can be helpful for changing our approach to learning things. I also want to add a little note here that if these practices are bringing things up in you that are extremely uncomfortable, like potentially traumatic experiences, repressed memories, what have you, I want to encourage you again to seek experienced teachers who know how to navigate these problems, and even consider hiring a therapist or a counselor and going to see them to work through some of these problems. The things that I say are not going to necessarily help you out in that way. And we don't want to necessarily trigger negative mind states or re-traumatize ourselves, right? So that isn't to say that that's a warning against doing this sort of thing. I'm just saying that if you are experiencing this, my advice is to seek professional help. And there's nothing wrong with seeking professional help. I have done it, and many people I know have done it, and they pretty much across the board have said that it has helped them in the long run. Sometimes you have to try a few different people out, and that's okay. So give it a shot, and hopefully through some help and coaching, we can get through some of those problems. So seek a meditation teacher who can help you with some of these uncomfortable states, seek a therapist or a counselor, and reach out to people, reach out to friends to talk about these things as well, or family or somebody you trust. Yeah, those things there's really no substitute for. So I encourage you to try that out as well.